Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 24th of April. Okay, looking at this morning's price action then, looking at events that are happening. Actually, before I get on with the price action, let's just look through news due out today. Retail sales already had the UK retail sales out. Came out at 7 o'clock this morning. Minus 5.1 versus minus 4.5 expected. There's probably not a massive shock. It'd been a hard thing to try and put an exact figure on retail sales when so many things are locked down. So not a great shock to the markets. This morning we got the German IFO business climate data coming out, forecast coming in at 79.8. I don't think we're going to see much. We don't normally see a lot of reaction around that number, so I don't think we will this time either. These numbers are more likely to pick up as sort of things start normalising, and they'll become much more in focus. But at this moment, they're the last of anyone's worries. And likewise, 1:30 we've got the US core durable goods. Now that is a variable anytime. Again, that's expected to come in at minus 6.1. Anything particularly good on that, if it didn't come in at minus, I think there would be quite a shock, but and a positive one at that. But as it happens, I don't think any of these numbers are really going to count too much. We're left to Trump speaking a lot actually, and supposed to be signing off different factors there, different funding for small businesses and banks, which is all built into the market. So realistically, I don't think we should see too much there either. So probably mostly quiet, although you never know with Trump. Anyway, moving on to these markets technically, and as I'm looking at this, the euro continuing its slide here. It did certainly gave the signal yesterday that the downside was going to be the trend for the rest of the week, and that's what we're seeing at this stage. Looking at where we're going at the moment, it is getting towards sort of a bit of oversold territory, maybe into these the S1 sort of zone, but it's really setting its stall out for downside at this stage. Now, what could change that? Well, any sort of significant bounce off this S1, we might see a move back towards its daily pivot, but realistically, the way it's looking, the distance it might be a hard one to do. We'll watch it carefully though. Okay, the pound, well, yesterday it managed to just hold on to a small gain as it did the previous day at the bullish harami the previous day. Yesterday it pitched up a little bit and held up eventually. It does look quite soft, but it certainly looks like a bit of a bear flag territory on a 4-hour chart here. There we go. It's just looking like it's broken down here. That looks like, well, it could just head off. It's already caught the daily pivot there. It looks like it could head off to that towards that S1 at some stage. There is a bit of horizontal support here off these prior lows around these sort of areas. 123, the whole number will come in at some point, but actually it's not that far. It's a bit further down there. So, well, it could well sell back towards that S1. As I say, it's ticked a bit pivot off there. Certainly looks erring towards that sort of downward direction at this stage. Dollar yen, well, really the markets, I say holding its breath. I'd hardly say holding their breath, but there's a Bank of Japan policy decision. It's going to be in focus on Monday, so the markets are probably keeping quite quiet on this front in terms of trading it, and it's really continued in that 4-hour mess that it's at. What a day yesterday. Look at that horrible whipsaw bars, and we're seeing a lot of these lately, and it's almost sometimes it's almost gives people the desire to snatch at profits, but you can't account for these moves, and it's just the way it is. Anyway, looking as it is, a breakdown of this the trend line that's running across the lows there, which I haven't drawn on, if you're looking for it, would probably identify potential to run back towards that 107.40 area possibly, but the way it's running at the moment, well, again, as I mentioned about the wedge yesterday, well, the wedge got broken completely by that massive bullish engulfing candle which never came to anything. Price just literally came back again. But maybe if with this sort of smaller term wedge, maybe it will run back towards the bodies of that bar, maybe the R1. But quite a range there yesterday, and maybe a bit of a difficult one with so much focus being on Monday's data. Aussie dollar, the Aussie bit like the pound. I likened it to yesterday. The only thing is it's stronger, and we've seen this sort of movement up there yesterday. As you look at it now, it's sort of bearish flag or just a rollover. At the moment, from an hourly point of view, it looks like if it breaks this these prior lows there this morning, that could just keep on rolling over towards that 6.3 area, 6.302. The S1 would be a target. The prior lows there, just below that, maybe even. But short term here, it looks a bit on the softer side. If we start seeing it hold on post 8 o'clock, we're just running into 8 o'clock as I'm recording this. If it starts reversing around here, maybe it'll get grip again. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning previously when it started its move yesterday. It's not looking like it really wants to do that anything more this morning at this stage. Okay, it does look on the weaker side there. Finally, the Canadian dollar, which is just really for those swing traders out there, just what's happening, continuing to happen. Well, it continued to roll over yesterday, and let's just have a look here. It did at one stage look like it was going to potentially continue in that upward side, but just as ever, it's got the ability to spoil things. Although we did see quite a move in the oil price there, and well, it's probably reflected in that big red bar. But once again, we're seeing a bit of a rally coming through here at the moment. Now, okay, that's the Canadian dollar. We'll look at oil just briefly on this shorter time frame here. It's starting to hold up a little bit there with the different measures that are being discussed. It's sort of holding fire a little bit. Almost getting to the position where I'm looking to get back into the trade maybe, but being patient. There was plenty of time because it's still only hovering around $60. If I'm looking at $30, there's quite an upward move at some point, but as I say, that is more in a position and more towards many months from here maybe. S&Ps, again, let's just actually bring this down to the 4 hourly here, and choppy old day, came off yesterday again, and looks, if anything, like it may just continue. We're just sort of seeing this A, B, and maybe the C wave's going to continue here, maybe even down towards those prior lows there. That 4 hourly 100 looks possibly in sight. Okay, nothing much more than that to discuss, so I wish you a great day. As I say, news wise, there's not a lot out there that will potentially move anything, so have a good one. Bye for now.